Welcome back to Self-Invested, where we talk about how you can do better with money. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the First Home Scheme, which was officially launched on the 4th of June. The scheme went live with 12 properties going for sale in the Bolsover district in Derbyshire. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what was actually launched, because it wasn't actually the main scheme. I'm going to be talking about when properties around the rest of the country are going to be available, and more specifically when properties in London are going to be available, because it's not going to be the same as the rest of England. I'm also going to be going through what the buying process is. I previously made a video in December talking about the First Home Scheme, going into real detail about how it works, how the discount works, what the local authorities' involvement will be. If you haven't watched that, or you're not very familiar with how the scheme works, I suggest you watch that video first, because in this video I'm going to be talking about more when the scheme is going to be available, what was actually launched on the 4th of June, and I'm going to be talking about how the scheme will work, so what the actual buying process will be. Before we get into the video, I just want to say that this is my first video that I'm making since my wife gave birth to our second child. So I'm a bit rusty and I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can. And so you may see me just looking down at my computer screen and just reading parts that I've noted down just for ease and just to get it out as quickly as possible. I hope you don't mind, and I hope that doesn't take away from the quality of this video. If you like the videos that I make, be sure to give this video the thumbs up, because by liking this video it really helps the channel grow. So what was launched on the 4th of June? Well, it was the First Home pilot scheme, which is set to deliver 1,500 homes between 2021 and 2023. This is being done to market test the whole First Home Scheme, because it's brand new, and help to shape how the main scheme is going to be delivered. The pilot scheme is different from the main scheme in three main ways, which I'll explain now. Firstly, the pilot scheme will not be available in London. It's going to be available across the whole of England, with the exception of London. And so people looking for first homes in London are going to have to wait until the main scheme is rolled out. And I'll talk later in this video about when the main scheme is likely to be rolled out. The second difference is that with the pilot scheme, local authorities won't be able to tailor the scheme in their area as much as they will under the main scheme. Now, for example, with the main scheme, local authorities will be able to set higher discounts if properties are not affordable with a 30% discount. If they need to set a bigger discount up to 50%, they'll be able to do this under the main scheme to make properties more available in their area. But in the pilot scheme, the discount is going to be capped at 30%. Also, local authorities won't be able to set lower income limits. Now, the standard household income limit under the scheme in England outside of London is £80,000. When the main scheme is rolled out, local authorities will be able to set lower household income levels to make the scheme more targeted in their area. But for the pilot scheme, the limit's going to be fixed at £80,000, and local authorities won't be able to change this. The third difference is that when the main scheme is rolled out, house builders will have to provide first homes as part of their affordable housing contribution, which I'll explain later. But essentially, this means the discount for homes will be covered by the developers and not the local authorities or the government. For the pilot scheme, however, the government will be covering the cost of the discount passed on to first-time buyers, and the government has set aside £150 million for the pilot scheme discounts. Now, the way that house builders will gain access to this funding that the government has made available for first home discounts is by bidding for this money. So say, for instance, the market value of a home was £200,000, and a house builder was able to secure a grant to sell a home as a first home for 30% below market value. That would mean that they would be able to sell that home for £140,000, £60,000 less than the market value. When that sale was complete of that home to the home buyer, they would be able to recoup that £60,000 in the form of a grant from the government, so they weren't left out of pocket. The homes made available under the pilot First Home Scheme will be homes that were intended for open market sale. They will instead be sold for 30% below market value and marketed as first homes and sold to eligible buyers. The official launch of the scheme on the 4th of June 2021 signalled the start of this process, with the government partnering with Keep Moat, a house builder, to offer the first 12 properties on the first home scheme in the Bolsover district in Derbyshire. More homes are expected to come on the market across the country later this year, as more house builders are invited to bid for grants from the end of June. How and when will the main scheme be delivered? The majority of homes under the first home scheme will be delivered through house builders Section 106 contributions. Now, Section 106 is a planning obligation agreed between a house builder and a local authority when a house builder is seeking planning permission for a development. This usually takes the form of a financial contribution to mitigate the impacts of a development on local infrastructure. For example, increasing the provision of school places, because a new development is going to bring more people to an area and put more pressure on existing school places. But Section 106 contributions can also take the form of affordable housing, and this is how the main scheme, or the main first home scheme, will be delivered. On the 28th of June, the government introduced new national policy which stated that at least 25% of all affordable homes secured through Section 106 contributions must be first homes. The government also stated that first homes must be prioritised over other forms of affordable housing, such as shared ownership and affordable rent. And it's expected that when the new planning policy becomes fully operational, that approximately 10,000 first homes will be built each year. I say when the scheme is fully operational because it will take time for local authorities to fully adopt the national policy changes that have been announced. The government, in fact, have said that this new requirement will not apply to sites with full or outline planning permission in place or determined before the 28th of December 2021 or the 28th of March 2022 if there has been significant pre-application engagement. Since these type of developments usually take a minimum of 12 to 18 months to be built, this means that we're not likely to see any first homes through Section 106 contributions until 2023. Which means in turn that we're not going to be able to see any first homes in London until 2023 at the earliest. How will the buying process work? For this section of the video, I'm going to use a chart that was provided by the government to explain the first home buying process. This was prepared specifically for the pilot scheme, but I think that it will probably be quite similar to how the main scheme works as well. So the first step is pre-sale setup. Once a house builder has secured a first home grant, the house builder will meet with the local authority who will set the eligibility criteria prior to any customer engagement. Although the local authority will not be able to set higher discounts or lower income limits for the pilot scheme, they will be able to set local connection requirements and the specific prioritization criteria for key and essential workers. All other criteria will be the same nationally. For example, the house price after the discount will be limited to 250k. The purchaser must be a first-time buyer, and their household or combined incomes will need to be £80,000 or less. It will then be the house builder's responsibility to generate interest with prospective buyers to sell the property, similar to how the Help to Buy equity loan scheme works. This means that first homes are likely to be marketed on the usual platforms, for example, Rightmove and Zoopla, and there'll probably be some sort of logo just letting you know that this property is available as a first home with a 30% discount. Step 2 is customer inquiry. When a customer or prospective buyer wants to reserve a first home, the house builder will assess the applicant against the agreed criteria. So first time buyer with an income below 80,000 with the required local connections. Using a standard document pack or application form provided by the government. The house builder will also do a sustainability check to ensure the prospective buyer will be able to afford the monthly running costs of the home. The next step is customer reservation. If the prospective buyer passes the house builder's assessment, the customer will be asked to pay a £500 reservation fee. The house builder will then submit this document or application to the local authority for approval. The customer must then select their preferred conveyancer or solicitor to deal with the legal work and mortgage advisor to help them secure a mortgage. Step 4, local authority receives application. The local authority will then review the application that is submitted to ensure the buyer is eligible for the first home. If the application is successful, the local authority will issue an authority to proceed to the house builder, customer, their conveyancer, and mortgage advisor. Step 5, authority to proceed. Once the authority to proceed is received, the customer's conveyancer or solicitor will begin the legal work required to buy the first home. The mortgage application will be submitted and the mortgage lender will value the first home to ensure the full market price is not greater than its valuation of the home. The customer must also ensure they have at least a 5% deposit ready to transfer at the moment of exchange. The customer's conveyancer will then have to submit a legal undertaking to the local authority, which is a legal commitment, and request from the local council the authority to exchange contracts with the house builder. Step 6, authority to exchange. Once the local authority receives the completed and signed legal undertaking and requests to exchange from the customer's conveyancer, the local authority will then confirm that the legal undertaking is compliant. If it is, the local council will issue the authority to exchange to the customer's conveyancer. Step 7, the customer's conveyancer or solicitor, on receipt of the authority to exchange, will then proceed to exchange contracts with the house builder. The customer will also have to pay their deposit, which will be a minimum of 5%. Once the contracts are exchanged, the sale will be legally binding. Step 8, legal completion. This is where the customer moves in and the conveyancer carries out the remaining actions to comply with their legal undertaking and returns all required documentation to the local authority. That brings us to the end of this video. If you found it helpful or informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button because it really helps this channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.